With this, I'd like to move on to our next session, which is DuoElla 2. The moderator for this session, I will just like to introduce her. Samima, she is a product designer at Creditbook. She recently graduated from IBA as a bronze medalist in their computer science program. She also actively volunteers for GDG Kolachi for all events and is passionate about community building in tech. Thank you, Samima, for doing this, moderating the next session. Over to you.
Thank you, Bamisa. Hello, everyone, and welcome to DuoElla 2, Cool Young Ellas, where we will be speaking with two incredibly bright young women today. I'm Samima, and with me I have Maheen Malik, who is currently in her final year of electrical engineering at Kiki and the captain of Team Invictus, which essentially designs full-fledged aircrafts every year for the Design, Build, Fly competition in the US. And this competition essentially sees 150 teams participating every year. And I also have Alina Azhar with me. She is a social worker and the recipient of the 2019 Diana Award recipient. She's also the founder of Aasra, Pakistan and Turkey, and has done some tremendous work for communities that are disadvantaged, which includes transgenders, women in marginalized areas, and even minorities. So, super excited to be in this session with both of you, to get to speak to you. Thank you for being here today. Let's start off with some questions that I have for Maheen. So Maheen, as a young engineer, can you tell us a bit about your work and what inspired you to take up Invictus at university? Like, how did you start on this amazing journey of building award-winning planes?
Hello, Samima. Thank you for the opportunity and asking me this question. And I'm obviously here on behalf of Team Invictus. So it started off in my first year of university, where I had where Team Invictus had its adverts, like openings that were going to be taking new recruits for our team. And during that time, our captain was Minahil Tariq, and she was in her 4th year of university. And during her era, Invictus had come second throughout the world out of 150 teams. So basically, you've already given an introduction to Team Invictus, which is that it is a team that makes RC UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, aircrafts basically, and we fly them in the US, and we compete with multiple universities throughout the world, including big names like MIT and Stanford. These are also the universities that compete with their teams. And despite such big universities competing, our team managed to get second throughout the world. And I was just so impressed, and obviously I wanted to be a part of such an initiative because I was being given the opportunity to. And that's how I started off at Team Invictus.
Awesome, that sounds amazing and very inspirational. So during your time at Invictus and like entering these competitions, what would you say has been like your biggest learning so far?
Firstly, with regards to the work that we do, like one of the problems that I faced when I came to university was I was not as technically upkept. Like, for example, yes, I could score good marks on an exam, but what I couldn't do was actually build things out of my hands or look at something and understand how it would operate or how it would work. And what Team Invictus taught me was actually understanding engineering, or the basics of how to come up something new completely from your mind. And that is one of my biggest learnings here at Invictus. And I feel like as an engineer, that is one of the most important skills that you should have.
Oh, awesome. That's pretty cool. I mean, I know there's a lot of effort that must go into building an aircraft right from scratch. So it's pretty inspirational hearing about, all the things that you've done. And based on the fact that you've accomplished so many things at like such a young age, like you've been entering these competitions, the US competition, how do you see yourself as like becoming a role model for the junior girls at your university, or maybe the young girls who are like watching this right now?
From my experience, I could say that I've been so inspired by the 2 female captains that have passed by in my era. Starting from the first one that I told you, she was the first female captain for Invictus. And that is when Invictus had its highest rank ever. Like, second in the world. That isn't just like it is obviously a very big accomplishment, but it isn't just that. She had to go through so many obstacles to get there, because as girls, we're obviously like inne kya pata. It starts from childhood. Like, for example, if your dad's taking the car to the mechanic or he's fixing it himself, he's probably going to call your brother, hello, let's have a look at this, what's wrong? And if he calls you over, it's probably going to be for water or tea or something, which is completely fine. But then again, that's the only thing they think we're capable of. And this sort of behavior, like, for example, if you still are able to maintain your interest in STEM after such dismissive attitude from your elders, your teachers, and from all the teachers you have in pre-engineering groups of FSC or A-levels, whatever you're doing, that are like, oh no, this isn't for women, you still manage to get into a university, you're subjected to this treatment from all of your like peers, classmates, and everything. And that also tends to get you down. Like, when you come in a class and there are two girls in the class and 40 men, you obviously feel like this is not your place to be. You feel so out of place. But the truth is, it is your place, because you passed the same entry test or same requirements that they did. And you're here for a reason. So you should believe in yourself. And then after all of that, after all this dismissive attitude and everything, it's very hard to get people to listen to you, let alone let them become your captain and everything. And then after that, you performing so well that you beat one of the world's best names in terms of science and tech. So in my case, I saw Minahil Tariq do that. And then I saw the current captain do it as well, Sayeda Fatma. She's currently our captain, and she's doing so well. And it's just so inspiring to watch her, and it makes me believe in myself that I am not the opinion of people around me. I am my own person with my own skills, with my own hard work, and I can be anyone I want to be. And I would be so excited to inspire younger girls the same way that they have inspired me. Because when you see through example, that's when it actually hits you that I'm less to no one, especially not men.
That makes complete sense, and I completely relate with the dismissive attitude that you mentioned and everything, and the lower number of women in terms of gender ratio in a class. I mean, I come from a computer science background, so I witnessed the same throughout 4 years, so I completely understand what you mean there. Alina, would you like to add to what Maheen is talking about?
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me first of all, and secondly, I listened to her, and I've been listening to all of you, and it's like really good to interact with you all, and I'm very glad to know about like your journeys, and I think like if I talk about myself, so like with me this never happened. Like I feel very fortunate and lucky that with me this gender discrimination thing never happened on my family or my school's part, but like these things happen a lot in our country, unfortunately. And I think that in the kind of stories that you all have been telling me, if we keep on going on the same track, then it's like sooner or later it's going to be this way that you're not even going to need anyone's validation or approval for what you do.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. So Maheen, just like one final question. Considering like your work with Invictus and everything, where do you see yourself in the next few years? What do you foresee for yourself in the future, both for yourself and for Invictus as an organization in your university?
With regards to Invictus, I feel like we're already on a very good path, and we're showing steady improvement over the years. And with regards to us women in general, Invictus has already been breaking barriers by having women captains and women managers, and it's just really, it's really heartwarming to see that despite the ratio of men to women in our university, we're still breaking so many barriers and accomplishing more than what men could do. And not just like the men aspect or the woman empowerment aspect of it, but Invictus as a whole is steadily on a path of growth. And not just for our personal selves or our university, but as the sole representative of Pakistan at that tournament where so many amazing universities are coming to perform, we're able to show the world that as Pakistanis are no less than other people. and that we can do anything that we put our mind to if given the right opportunity. So I think Invictus is embarking on the track of leading the competition over the years and establishing our name in the field, and not just our name, but the country's name in the field as well, that we do have the talent. As for myself, I feel like Invictus has given me the confidence to like not underestimate myself as an engineer, because I feel like a lot of times you sometimes set yourself up for failure because you don't believe in yourself. You're just like, oh no, I can't do this. So you don't even try. But Invictus has given me the strength to try and also accept my failures. Like if I fail one time, I'm not worried. I'll still go the next time for whatever task I'm attempting. Because with time, you do grow as a person. You should always be open to learning. So I feel like this skill, it is embarked into me, and I'll be using it ahead in terms of wherever I apply or whatever aspect of technology or electrical engineering I plan to work in. I'm going to use the skills that it has given me. This is just one of the few skills. The skills are, in fact, countless, from how to deal with people, dismissive attitude, and even, like as I mentioned previously, the ability to think of something in your brain and come up with something completely from scratch, which is a very important engineering skill. So I see myself using that and working in even more male-dominated environments.
That's really inspirational, and I completely understand what you mean by how we end up sort of self-rejecting ourselves before we want to try something. We just think we won't be able to do it, and I'm so glad that being a part of Invictus has allowed you to overcome that thing. So that's great, and it's been really insightful to learn about you and your experiences, and to see that women are doing some really groundbreaking work in the aeronautics space. So thank you for that, Maheen. Next, I'd like to ask Alina a bit about her experiences. So Alina, I know you've worked on like a lot of social projects with a lot of impact. So I really want to know, what was your stepping stone into the social workspace? How did you get into this line of work? What motivated you, and what have you been working on these days lately?
So basically, I was 11 years of age when I started social work, and it was in my school at that time. Of course, in 2011, during the floods in Pakistan, we had this project from the Imran Khan Foundation where we had to raise funds for the flood victims in Balochistan, Punjab, and Gilgit-Baltistan. And it was when I started my work, and after that, I used to do all the projects that came to my school because I really liked that field of work. And slowly and gradually, I became the vice president of the community service society in my school. And when my O levels ended, I moved to another school, and since that school did not have opportunities for social work, so I started my organization with the name of Aasra, my non-profit organization. And honestly speaking, talking about the stepping stones, the one thing I would say that I faced was that, unfortunately, it's very unfortunate that in our country, people don't distinguish that running an organization and नेकी करके लोगों को दिखाने में फर्क होता है. So this is something जो I think एक stigma हर social worker के साथ या हर NGO के साथ कहीं ना कहीं लोग ये लगा देते हैं. So honestly speaking, I feel very fortunate कि इसके अलावा मुझे उस तरह से कभी कोई problem नहीं हुआ, because I work for women hygiene and their empowerment. I conduct sanitary menstruation camps for women in shanty towns and slums, because 70% women in Pakistan, they don't have access to sanitary napkins in the rural areas, and as a result, they have to use materials such as sand, ashes, or leaves during their menstruation. So even these shanty towns and even the urban areas, they use cloth and such stuff. So I just hold these seminars on a monthly basis and distribute sanitary napkins among these women, and also educate them about their personal hygiene and how they should be taking care of themselves. So that it's still considered a taboo in Pakistan to talk about this certain issue, but to understand the impact it is having in somebody's life and on the life of these girls and women, then you get to know that it's important, and it's far more important than what anyone thinks about it. And apart from that, I also have a project for the transgender people. I'm not from the STEM field. I'm like an undergrad in international relations, and I'm doing it in Turkey and the US. And apart from that, I've also like worked for transgender people. Like I helped them set up a small business so they could, earn for themselves and leave other work such as, prostitution and begging, etc. So and like from all of this, I adopted an orphanage and a free school for street kids and the underprivileged. And also I've like my organization Aasra has sponsored education of some university students, including girls and boys who belong to underprivileged families, and they're unable to fund their education. So like they're all university students, and that's what we're doing. And also like we have this mental health awareness project, and my team, like, which consists of a cancer survivor and a psychologist, they go to these educational institutions in Lahore and talk to students about their mental health struggles and how important it is, because people don't tend to talk about it a lot in Pakistan, unfortunately. And also like I have like these fundraising projects, and like during, if it's a pandemic or a natural hazard like COVID or the current floods in Pakistan, we I collect funds and like we work for these people. And like talking about STEM, I think that it's something that plays a huge, like social media and technology plays a huge part in today's world, and we use it for several other causes. So I think that why should we not use it for fundraising and such things? Because it's like a very impactful and huge platform.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like a lot of the work that you're doing is like very, very high impact. So that's amazing to hear about. Like you're doing so many projects and all of that at such a young age. That's very inspirational to hear about.
Thank you.
And yeah. And so I remember that you mentioned social media just now. Could you like tell us a little bit about how technology or social media essentially plays a role for community building, for peace building? Like, have you utilized social media for this purpose before, and how?
Yes, actually, that when you start working, the first thing that is like the most important thing, those are the funds. And you need to have like, a proper strategy and a proper plan to execute to collect funds for yourself. And, there was this time when we used to have these match screenings, cricket match screenings in our school to, raise funds, because the money that came from the tickets, we used to use it for, our like projects in school. But obviously, like I cannot do that right now. I'm not like studying in Pakistan or anything. So social media is like, with the advancements in technology and social media, you can connect to people all over the world. Like using technology and social media, when I put some things up on my Instagram, on my like organization's Instagram page, and people from all over the world have access to social media. And like from there, I do have donors from countries like Australia, US, Canada, and New Zealand. And whenever they send in a donation, it's like it helps like a wider community in Pakistan. And like technology, like it plays a part in everything nowadays, and like it's one of the most impactful thing, and it does plays its part in community building this way.
Yeah, like totally agreed with that. Technology is slowly creeping its way into every single facet of our lives, and that's a good thing. Like we should be utilizing it when we can for the greater good. So that's really good to know. I think my last question for you would be, so you worked on projects related to female hygiene and mental health,
Yes.
like you mentioned. What would you say has been like your most rewarding project or experience so far? And how do you see yourself as a role model for other young women in the future?
Honestly, each one of them, like all of my projects, I think that they're equally important for me. And like the main aim of my organization is not to just focus on a particular project, but on everything, but with the same effort and amount of time that I can invest in it. So I won't say that this was the best project or that was the most rewarding project. All of them are equally important for me, and all of them are equally rewarding for me, because whenever you see people benefiting from something like that, because I had this interview with BBC where they covered like a menstruation camp, and if you watch it, it starts with a woman who's crying, and she's telling that she lost I guess 4 daughters due to complications. And because these women, they are very reluctant and shy to talk about their hygiene and these things, even with female doctors. So I think that all of these projects are equally important, And talking about like a role model, I wish I could become a role model for other people. But the only thing that I would say is that I'm not asking everyone to, you know, start an organization, because what I do, I know that I want to dedicate my life to this cause, to these people, to this work. But I think that everyone, even if they could, you know, just take smaller steps or do a smaller thing for anyone, a family, on a monthly basis or anything, I think that they should totally go for it and do it. Because I think that we have, you know, if we have any opportunities or any resources, we should be responsible enough to help those people who are underprivileged.
Yeah, totally agreed with that. I know that when you try to take small steps to make a difference in someone's life, that gives you a sense of inner peace and satisfaction that you're actually making a difference to the community. So yeah, I mean, I've done a bit of social work during my student societies as well, so I know how rewarding that feels internally. So thank you so much for that, Alina. It's been such a pleasure interacting with both of you, Alina and Maheen, and learning about how young women are really making such a huge impact, whether that's with designing aircraft or improving people's lives. So I think that would be it for this session. And I'd now like to hand it over to Aasra.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Samima, and congratulations. I think, you know, Maheen and Alina have really been inspirational. I know we started from all the way from Ms. Bela, you know, who's a seasoned professional in this field. But it's always good to see, you know, the torch being passed on. So I think this makes for a great conclusion for our session today. So thank you, Samima, Alina, and Maheen for the last session of today. We'll now take over the closing session. So Bimsal, if I can just quickly pin yourself and me, and we'll move towards the. Yeah, so with this, we'd like to thank everyone, especially our speakers for today and our partners for bringing, you know, GrowElle Labs celebration of Pakistan's first ever Ada Lovelace Day with this virtual conference called ElleConnect. We hope that we were able to bring in, you know, some of these role models, and we hope that participants and viewers are able to, you know, start their journey with, you know, access to resources, collaborations, and also that network. You know, at the end of the day, what we are trying to do at GrowElle Labs is really create that network and showcase of, everybody talked about, you know, creating those real role models, or creating that network which seems to, you know, leverage STEAM education as a tool, and to develop, you know, that identity, that civic engagement, develop or enhance skills of educators. Memsal, it's okay if your child wants to listen into our STEAM conversations. But yeah, so I think it's very important to, you know, inculcate that culture right from the start, and we hope that we were able to bring you, you know, those exact role models that we look up to for our work. So thank you to everyone who's been a part of ElleConnect 2022. We hope that you continue to do the wonderful work that you are in growing this community in teams, as we like to call it. Bimsal, any closing thoughts?
No, you said it perfectly. And I'm so glad that we got to take on Alina and Maheen right at the end. It just really was a perfect ending for me to see how far we've come and how much work is happening. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So thank you to all the speakers, all partners, and my co-host for today. This is GrowElle Labs signing off. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.